March 15, 2014. And like we said in the messages we sent around, we are going to be talking about the Ogun State Home Charter program. How many of us have heard of that program? How many of us were not here last month? If you are interested, I don't know, do we still have those CDs? Some of them. How many do we have? About 5. Okay, if you are interested in the topic we spoke on last month, we recorded it and you can get it, because I think it's really, really important. Last month will be what you can call a review of what will make, your real estate business, or what you should be looking at in real estate business in the year 2014, really. That's how you can summarize what we discussed last month. So if you want to, particularly centering on the area of finance, knowledge and all of that. So if you want to have a benefit of it, you can get the CD. Also, today's will be recorded as well, and you can get the CD immediately after the session if you are interested. We just record majorly for the session, not that we intend to sell. It's 500 naira CD if you are interested. Today we'll be talking about the Ogun State Home Charter. Homeowners Charter. This is the quadrant of property, landed property, really. Any land you see can fall in one of these 4 categories. Any land you see in Nigeria, it can only fall in one of these categories. You have the one that is acquired, and I will explain each one, and then we will talk about the one that is affected by this and the benefits. We have the one that is acquired. We have the one that is freehold. We have the one that is acquired but ratifiable. And then we have the one that is titled. One that is acquired, one that is free, one is acquired but ratifiable, and the other that is titled. That's the quadrant of landed property. Now, when you say a land is free, you can actually say that the genesis of landed property is that they are free. Let me put it that way. So somebody will say that we own this land from the days of our fathers. We have been farming on it. That's how we came to be the owners of this land. When you say it is free that way, meaning that it does not have any government interest. Don't forget that what makes land an economic value, what gives land its economic value, the most economic value that land can have is the interest that can be created and established on the land. And interests are created and established with papers, with documentation. And government must be involved. The level of government involvement in that documentation, in that interest creation, is what gives land its most economic value. Okay? So, when you say a land is free, don't let me put freehold so that we won't confuse ourselves. Freehold can mean some other things. Let's just say it's free. When you say a land is free, it means that it's still in the hands of, as it were, the original owners, customary owners. They are still the one in control of that land. Okay? Now, when you say a land is acquired, it means that government has stepped into the land and they have taken it for overriding public interest. Don't forget that by law, 1978 Land Use Act, Nigeria, all the land in a state, well, the way it is defined clearly is that all the land in the urban part of a state is held in trust by the governor of the state, of the people. The one in the rural is held in trust by the chairman of the local government, various local governments for the people. But as a place develops, there is usually confusion between which is still rural and which is urban. So we can almost say, as it operates almost now, it's like, let's say it's in the hands of the governor of the state in trust. That is by law. But it is not all the land that government has actively moved on. What that law says is that if you want to enjoy the economic benefits of a land to its optimum and get governor or government to consent to that interest, it needs to come to their knowledge, and the governor would have to sign a paper for you. Whatever that paper is called gives it the economic value that it should have. And I'm saying, if a land is free, it means that it's not being brought to the knowledge of the government for any economic transaction. And the government as well has not moved on the land to say we are taking it for a particular overriding public interest. That's when it's free. But when it's acquired, it means government has done that. It means they have moved on the land, defining it by some boundary to say that, look, we are taking over this land for overriding public interest. It could be that they want to do something that will serve the public there. Say, for example, the roads they are doing in some parts of the country now. If the government wants to create a new road, or they want to expand an existing road, they may have to acquire the land to some degree along that boundary. How many of you are aware that since I think the years of Mobolaji Johnson, Lagos State Government, the first military governor of Lagos State, the road along Lagos-Badagry Express have been acquired since then. I don't know if you know that. They were acquired since then, but they did just a tiny stretch of that road that time. But they had acquired a significant dimension, width of that stretch down. What happened was that people felt at the time government had done what they want to do, and so the Omodile will sell any land for you, whether government just took it that morning and you came, he will sell and collect. That's the lawlessness we have in our nation, which is not. We hope that we'll get over all of that nonsense with. So people moved on the land, and they had fantastic, gigantic structures on the stretch. But guess what? When the 10-lane road project came up, the government moved on the land and demolished. They said, well, why are you doing it? If you have papers, bring it. None of them could bring any paper that is what the world, except the ones that probably government extended beyond the acquired region. Because if a land had been declared acquired, you couldn't have gotten substantial documents. If you got it by hook and crook, it is which one came first. If the foundation be destroyed, you can't give what you don't have. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So that's the challenge. So a number of them could not produce any paper to make them worth any compensation. Because they move on a land that is acquired. Maybe I should go ahead to actually further define this acquired to mean acquired and committed. That example I gave, for example, the place was acquired and committed for a road project. Okay. So that defines this second one. The third one is acquired but ratifiable. Now, this is how an acquired land becomes ratifiable. There are instances that we've seen where government acquired landed property. Eventually, they could not Either they didn't finish the utilization. For example, in my hometown where I come from, in Ogun State, federal government in this case, acquired gigantic landed property. I think way back, they wanted to do, is it military barracks or so? I understand they utilized it to an extent, not too sure, but they didn't finish utilizing it a whole lot of it. Not too long ago, the whole town took government to court to release the remaining land since they used the one they acquired, and it's as if they had evidence that the government is now trying to use the land for some other reasons that are not overriding public interest. So they could take them to court, and there have been instances where the people have won such cases. Do you understand? And the land is released back to them. Even Ojo here, Ojo barracks here, there's a portion of the land that has been released back to the family based on this same issue. They acquired a lot of land there for that barracks. They didn't finish utilizing everything. The other portion, after some years, the family thought for the one son. Now, when government moved to a place and they acquired it, either that they didn't specify, they didn't commit it, or they did not fully utilize it, and they hold on to the fact that they finished what they want to do in that place, on that land. Then it leaves the other parts of the land open for ratification. Meaning that you can don't let me mix it up. It leaves it for ratification. The one that they use, okay? I mean the one that they acquire but they didn't put to a particular use. They just say overriding public interest. It's vague. In fact, instantly they may say that you can come for ratification as they are acquiring it. They can say that you can come for ratification. Really and truly, this is an aberration. What I mean by that is, in a place where there is law and government can be held accountable, this really should not be what is in existence. You should not acquire a land and then say that people can come for ratification. It means that you didn't need the land for a particular overriding public interest. So you did not acquire the land in the first place. I don't know if you get what I'm saying, but it happens. It happens. Now, the one that is titled can be so many titles. Also, it can be that once it is acquired for a particular purpose and it's not fully utilized, they release it. And the title they say gazetted. They release it, and they can only release it finally by way of gazette. And once they do gazette, it's as good as a C of O. You can only do consent on a gazette. Do you understand? Okay, once they gazette it, it's as good as C of O. So they usually release such lands back to the family they took it from. That's the one that I said you can call title. And also there could be other titles. Other titles meaning that somebody else had acquired the land from the people when it was free, and it came to government because he wants more economic benefit to document the transaction and create his interest. So he gets title C of O probably. You understand? So that as well is title. So what am I saying? I'm saying that there is no land you see that cannot be identified in one of these four quadrants. It has to fall into place in at least one of these. Now, coming to the Ogun State Home Charter program, definitively, what they said is that they did a survey of Ogun State. a GIS survey, Geographical Information System survey. More or less like taking the location and reading or geographic pictures of Ogun State, identifying each property. And they were able to establish that a lot of those properties that they were seeing were not titled. As in, a number of them did not have C of O, a number of them did not have building plan approval, and they were seeing physical properties. Note that for a property to have been erected, for a physical structure to have gone on, these are the level of documentation you should have established. Survey. You have done your survey. And your survey is not fully done until it is registered. I know you must have had red copy. And they say submit the red copy. That is like the final stage of registering your survey. You've done it, and then the government has a copy of your survey, and they've inputted it into their system. You understand? So you must have surveyed. After you surveyed, you must have done what they call, this is apart from the fact that, of course, to allow you to get to this level of survey, you need to have gotten what they call either deed of assignment or whatever it is, or purchase agreement, okay, and receipt from the family you are buying it from, if it's freehold. And these days, especially in Ogun State, they have what they call surrender. Surrender is like second level of receipt. The family haven't given you receipt. They will now, there is a form, they call surrender form. They will now fill the form and will surrender the land, our interest in the land to you. That's in Ogun State, okay? Now, if you have that, then you do survey. Once you do survey, if it's a fresh land, it's a free land that you bought, you do C of O. Okay? Now, to have a structure there, you should have done what they call building approval. Meaning you have done your building design and you have approved it. All these four things must be in place for you to have a physical structure on the land. But what Ogun State realized was that a lot of the houses they were seeing did not have all of these four. Some probably had one, some had two. I doubt if there will be any that had none. Except if maybe it's the family, all this money, maybe you are a part of the family, they just mark one land for you, say build your own house there. Nobody gave you any receipt, nobody gave you anything. Didn't do any survey and all of that. Maybe in that case, yes, you will have some that did not have anything, any recording of it. And it is not for government to be able to serve its people and even plan its infrastructure and things. There has to be plan, there has to be information, and there has to be how information is extracted so that it can aid planning. You understand? So